Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Barn Burner. Where's the emphasis? Which syllable? Barn Burner? Barn Burner. Which one?
Like the urn. Burner. Barn Burner.
Barn Burner.
Barn Burner. It's a barn burner. It's barn burner. Burn. Jack?
Burn
Boss?
Burner.
Hello.
What is it?
Barn Burner.
Okay. Barn burner.
Burner.
So start strong and then fade. Seems right. Seems about right.
Sounds like a show.
Well, here we are. Are we ready? Do we got to put helmets on for round 2? Is that how this goes? How does this work? Round 3,
It's not a Canucks game.
Certainly didn't need it last
it's not a
night.
Canucks game day. It's not an Oiler game day. It's game.
Red should be putting his helmet on, or at least breaking out that weird cat trophy statue thing that he's got.
That's right. Do people know we've
shown it on the show a few times? Yeah.
Yeah. If only we've had a picture. It's you made it to the stand. What do you tell a story? You can kind of enlighten people.
Well, about the cat?
Well,
The
just
trophy?
about why there is a cat, how the cat came to be.
Well, the
Thoughts
cat came to
behind
be-
getting a cat?
I don't know. I would when you go to the finals, we went to the finals my rookie year, and the rumor was the team would match the league's payment for every round you win.
Oh,
So you get a certain amount for winning or losing the first round, second round, third round. We went to the finals, and so I'm like, ooh,
here we
this will
go.
be good. This will be a nice paycheck for the kid. And I got a trophy.
Your truck, maybe.
In fairness, it's a substantial trophy.
It is significant.
Yeah, that would take up a lot of storage
3
room
feet?
if you weren't gonna.
Oh yeah, 3 feet tall on a pedestal thing that
Yeah.
spins around. Oh, it's very high end, and
Yeah.
at this point in my life, I like it more than the 20 grand that I probably would have got.
Oh,
so.
just
fair.
you'd have left that right on the beach. You may as well have just thrown it right into the ocean
Mhm.
because that's all it would have been. Is it bronze? Would you say that's a bronze statue? Yeah,
It comes across as bronze, but
it's a cat who's kind of up.
I
on
haven't done. I've yet to do any metallurgy on it. So.
Yeah. Up on its haunches. Would you say it's kind of up on its haunches?
Well, it's the original cat. It's coming
the
through.
logo.
It's the logo.
really coming at you
Yeah.
with one of these. Does it have a stick somewhere? Is there a stick?
Yeah, it's broken.
It's broken
biting.
in its jowls, and it's attacking from its haunches, and it's about 3. Yeah, it's about
Haunch.
3 and 100 pounds.
No, not 100 pounds. 40.
The weight of the cup.
Yeah, it's heavy.
That's what we're told.
Well,
Wasn't cash.
You would have just absolutely spent that.
Oh,
in
but
10
I had
minutes
a
at Bartender's
plan
Weekend
to go to
East.
Pure Platinum. It was going to be wicked.
Pure
yeah,
Platinum.
wicked. Would have been wicked. What's Pure Platinum, Brett?
It's a sports bar.
Yeah.
If I win the lottery, I'm going to go to a
They have,
sports
they have
gonna
bar.
go to
lunch
this
buffets.
sports bar. Yeah, the old lunch buffet.
Oh yeah,
That is quite a move.
the open faced. Yeah.
The old the rip joint with
Or
the
a
buffet.
steakhouse. Or a steakhouse. A lot of
Yeah.
them, not a lot, but some of them high-end
steak
steakhouse.
sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how many buffets or steak sandwiches do you think our next guest has had at the old Rippers over the years? Because I feel like that is quite a move to go to the for some adult
there.
entertainment and then just be hammering down some mac and cheese.
Lasagna, and
Yeah, or
garlic
something
bread.
like that. Jamie McLennan from of course from TSN, from Overdrive. There he is. Noodles, good to see you, buddy.
I'm late to the conversation, but I picked up. So you're asking me if I've ever eaten at a strip club? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I guess
No,
so.
it was how many thousands of meals has he had? I think was
Yeah,
more the
we
tone
were
of
not
it.
doubting.
Okay, so my last, like, I'm not a big strip club guy, but I do remember in Vegas, we went to the Spearmint Rhino, and I had the best grilled cheese I've ever had in my life. And it was
What they
about
call
4
it.
o'clock in the morning. And I was with the lead singer of Theory of a Dead Man, Tyler Connolly.
Jeez.
And I had alcohol poisoning, I think, the night before, where I don't remember getting home. And the next night I was kind of just nursing my drink. because every time I took a sip of vodka, I could just like my body was shaking. And we were doing 3 nights in Vegas, right? So it's but that grilled cheese was the greatest grilled cheese I've ever tasted in my life.
Ever.
Now, it might have been situational based on what my body was up to and my body clock and all of that. But I wasn't a big guy who got into the buffet or anything like that. You had to wonder who was, it's like the guy who's working the DJ booth is probably working the grill.
Oh yeah, multi-purpose.
So if that wasn't where COVID started, it might have been, some of these places.
Yeah.
You never know.
Long before the days of hand sanitizer being
yes,
readily
yeah,
available.
yes.
It was not really that sort of thing.
You can. There were a lot of things going back. This is what built your immune system up back in the day. That's what helped. But
sanitize with vodka, right?
Yeah, exactly. I will say this though: when I played in Houston, apparently I lived right across the street. Like all the guys lived in this condo complex. And across the street was a bar called the Gentleman's Club, which was a strip club. And apparently their menu was the same as like High's Steakhouse, like
Really?
and Morton's.
There are.
Like that, they got the same steaks from the same butcher, same type of everything. So the guys would order a steak to be delivered. You could order takeout from there. So it was... I have had takeout from the Gentleman's Club in Houston, Texas, which was very good. But again, you got to consider who's firing it up behind the closed doors. That's what concerns me.
Who was the guy that TV show? You can't do that on television. Who was the chef in the back? Sloth or like whatever it was, and he had the. That's all I can imagine is just some disgusting dude back there that shouldn't be near a kitchen.
Yeah,
serving up all of the all of delicious foods.
The only other cook story I have for you guys is years ago, early 90s. I'm playing for the Capital District Islanders. Ooh. And we played out of Troy, New York, the RPI college. So on a Friday night, the college would sell out 6,000 fans. Saturday night, we would play like Adirondack, Detroit's farm team, get 1,200 people. But we used to hang out at a bar in downtown Troy, New York, like very, very gritty. And one time we're sitting there and we got to know the got to know the chef, and he would bring us out chicken wings and beer and all of that. And excuse me. One day we're sitting there and the FBI storms the room, and he was on the America's Most Wanted, the chef from the bar that we hung out in New York, well, not New York City, Troy, New York. So turns out he was not a good dude.
Good guy
just,
to know.
Maybe had a disagreement with the FBI over something minor.
Good guy to know.
No, this guy was wanted like murder and all sorts of not good things, but he was hiding out as a cook in this bar in Troy, New York. So that was not good. When we saw the guy's name was Steph, and they yarded him out of there, and like there was 20 FBI agents that stormed the place, and we're just sitting there having a drink type of thing.
And they didn't come looking for you because you're a shady looking character. You look like you're somebody who's been involved in some unsavory business.
Back then I had long hair. I mean, I couldn't grow a beard even to this day, but I was pretty shady looking back then in the day, for sure.
You two, I got a little thing for you. Not you, Pinder, and not really for me, but for you two guys. A little this day in history. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
A little this day in history. May 22nd, 1964.
Jeez.
60 years ago today, someone in your circle, your life, was born.
Wow. Who's 60? It's not Hanlon. He's 58.
The one and only Jim Playfair.
Jimmy Playfair.
Jimmy P turning 60 years
today.
today. Look at this sweet boy.
Wow.
Huh?
Look at the back. He's got a little length there.
Sure he does.
Yeah. That's
there it is. There's why I oughta. He's giving me a little look there.
I talked to him. He was supposed to come in for Kipper's thing, and he couldn't get away from it. So he called me that Saturday morning, and had a good chat. I've stayed in touch with Jimmy for years. I mean, he's one of my favorite people. his kids are good guys. He's turned, he's got an unbelievable family. So a lot of time for Jimmy Playfair.
Are you sending the happy birthday text now, Retro? Look at this guy.
Yeah,
Hey, man.
too.
Happy birthday, bud. It's who could forget your birthday? Not me, that's for sure.
Birthday, talking about you on Rhett's podcast.
See, yeah, there it is. Well, keep it handy because there's another one you might want to send. Retro, now you've said, I know on the old show, and you've been forthcoming. You feel like even at the later stages, like the last third of your career, Jimmy made you a better defenseman.
Jimmy was the first coach I ever had that looked at my game personally and worked with me on a personal, these are the things you need to work on.
To your strengths and weaknesses. This is what
give
you
us
need
an
to
example. Like what would be one of those little tricks of the trade or things that were custom to you?
Well, there's always you're always getting worked on with coaches back to junior even, but it was always just group work, right? Where pull the line, forwards, backwards shot that, pick it up off the wall, make a pass, standard, all things that are important, but not specific. Where Jimmy would look at my game and go, okay, well, you're not closing the gap here. You're not scissoring this way. You need to work on taking a different angle at this puck. He would look at your game specifically, and then after practice, have a game plan for you. I'm sure he has more notes than anyone. I don't know if he kept all kinds of notes and journals and stuff. I guarantee you he has books on Noodles, myself, every player he's ever coached. He was very thorough. Yeah,
very detail-oriented coach. Liked by the guys who worked for him. It's funny. When he took over as head coach, I think that, if he wanted to do over at some point, he had some Daryl in him, but he also had his own coaching style. And I think he wanted to emulate too much of Daryl instead of just being Jimmy. But I had a lot of respect for him. I laugh. I don't know if you remember this, Retro. We had our rookie party in St. Louis and Jimmy was coaching, and the next day we were skating. So I think we had our rookie party, we'll say on a Monday, and then Wednesday we're playing in St. Louis. And the Tuesday we skate, and Jimmy's like, hey guys, I know you had a late night. We got to get, sweat some of this stuff out. So at the end, he lines us all up and he's like, okay, whoever came in after 2 a.m. last night, down and back. So everyone skates down, everybody who came in after 3 a.m. down and back. So some guys are like, okay, halfway there. Everybody after 4, like me and Kipper are skating, anybody who was smoking last night, down and back, and me and Kipper are skating. It was just like, but he didn't want to say it loud enough, obviously, because there was media in the crowd. So every time he would come, and he just kind of whisper, okay, anybody who, had a good time last night, like that type of stuff. It was so funny. I'll always remember that. Like he had a pretty good rapport as to a good feel on the pulse of the group.
And you bring it up too, the Daryl stuff. I feel like that was almost the worst case scenario for him to take that job. He couldn't turn it down. He had to take it. It's a head coaching job in the NHL. What are you, dumb?
Yeah.
Walk away from it. But it was a bad spot for him to walk into.
And Daryl is still there.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like he's gone. So you're going to come in with a whole new ideology. He's still there. And Daryl just had so much success doing it Daryl's way.
Right. Yeah. That was the hardest part. I think Jimmy was there was Daryl and then there was Jimmy, kind of good cop, bad cop. And then when Jimmy had to take the lead chair, it was I think he found it hard to kind of step back and be the hammer a little bit. So he was trying to find his his groove. We just never got there as a group. What did we lose to Detroit in the first or second round?
First round.
Yeah. And, we were a good team. And I think we were a good group, like really tight group. I wish we could have got to that next level under Jimmy. And I think his first kick of the can there, he was a really good coach in the minors in Abbotsford. Got an opportunity, worked under Daryl. You're going to take a lot of what worked for Daryl, but I probably in hindsight, he'd look back and go, there's some things he probably would have wanted to do differently. And, maybe he'll get another chance. You never know.
He's been an associate or assistant ever since. He
Yeah.
hasn't been a head coach since Abbotsford. And I don't think you can question a guy's passion when he's worked in Phoenix and Edmonton and then goes and takes an associate job in Prince George when he's 59. Like that's,
Yeah.
they had a great year. He clearly loves it.
Yeah.
Or he's been spending too much time with you gambling or something. I don't know.
I remember that
loves
at the end of that season, right? Because it ends and then Daryl brings in Mike Keenan, which I'll say, I'll go out on a limb and say it was a mistake. I don't know that it really worked for anybody. But that year, 43, 29, and 10. And I just remember after the playoff ouster that you guys talk about to Detroit, just talking to Jimmy, and he was still, he was kind of shell shocked by it. He's like, we worked so hard and we took so much pride in our home record. Led the league. I just went back to take a look. Led the league in home ice wins, 39-2 that year on home ice.
Are you
30
kidding
wins.
me?
That was
And fired. I mean, it's or whatever you want to call it. He slid over to be an associate, but essentially, the change was made, and then Mike's not going to take much input from anybody. He just became a glorified practice drill runner, I guess, for Mike is what it ends up being.
Well, under Mike, I went away that year. That was my Russia, Japan experience. And then I came back and joined the staff, right? And you're watching Mike. So I played for Mike in St. Louis, in Florida, then, worked with him in Calgary and got an opportunity to watch Mike behind the scenes. He relied heavily on his assistant coaches and associate coaches because he wasn't a tactician. He was more a feel guy, rely on your top players. So Jimmy, Rob Cookson, guys like that had big roles underneath him because they basically needed to run everything. Mike would come in and go, you know what? I got to feel I'm not liking what I'm seeing here. Watch this. And he would run into the room and start, tear a strip off Dion and come back in and go, what do you think of that? And start laughing. Mike was a really, really he was a field coach where, the assistant coaches and the associate coaches handled the day-to-day, like we need to work on the neutral zone. We need to work on our power play. Like we need to work on our breakouts. They would design drills for Mike. And Mike would say, we're on the ice 20 minutes today, no more. Like he was really about rest. And then, Rhett, remember he was all about games. Like he would play, you'd scrimmage during practice all the time. And our line changes haven't been sharp. We're going to,
the line changes were always, yes.
Yeah. He was always hard. He was always on weird things, but then, he was hard on top players, but a guy like Iggy'd be hard on, but he'd play him 26 minutes and he'd yell at Kipper and then he would play him, 70 games or whatever. Like that's what Mike was all about. But when you have coaches that are hammers like that, you really need a staff that can support, the day-to-day running of the team.
To say that he relied heavily upon that's a very nice way of you putting it, Jamie, that he relied heavily upon the input of his associate and assistant coaches. That's, I've heard it put differently, but for sure.
Very
Do you remember the Willie Mitchell thing with Mike playing Vancouver and during you never knew with Mike with the media scrum. So we're in a media scrum, I think on a game day, and somebody talked about the Vancouver defense. Well, you've this and that, and whatever. And, Willie Mitchell back there. I mean, he's playing with an illegal stick, but other than that, he's a very solid defender.
Everyone knows it.
It was kind of illegal stick. Okay. And then that night for warm up, he had taken 2 sticks and taped them together. So we had like a 20-foot stick going through warm up. So friggin' funny. I mean, good on him to get the joke to run with it. And I don't know if there was something behind the scenes, if Mike was in on it or not. Yeah. And he was asked one day about the goaltender, who he was going to go in net. And he said something along the lines of, well, the goaltender spot is an important one. No one plays more minutes than the goaltender in a game. So it's an important decision. I mean, he's not wrong. He's right. At the end of the night, I don't know that any forward or defenseman is going to have had as many minutes played as either netminder, but he'd be out there with his wooden stick, holding it in the wrong hand, sometimes, as you say, he'd take over practice and we talk about it all the time, the Jim Vandermeer skipping. He had the stick on the ice and would make Jimmy have to kind of jump over the stick, like hopscotch kind of a thing, or skip rope. Unique. Oh, and there again, felt for Jimmy to bring it back around that he had a very short crack at it.
Yeah.
And then had to kind of sit back and wonder what could have been.
Mike, I mean, now Mike is running the Italian Ice Federation, is he not?
Yeah, maybe.
I swear to God, I found that out a couple months ago. He's running the Italian hockey situation. I think for the Olympics. Aren't they? I
They just beat Q8 49-1. So
wow, it's working.
They host winners in 26, I believe.
Yeah, they're hosting it. Aren't they behind on building their rink and all
That sounds like Italy, yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So I just side note, I just bought Taylor Swift tickets last night in Milan.
Oh,
because we're going to Italy this summer, and my daughter's a huge Taylor Swift. I'm not even going to say I'm embarrassed.
I don't want to hear because I know what my brother sold his tickets for.
Yeah. I just bought 2 last night online and just got taken to the woodshed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick up a side job here to try and supplement the income.
Start cutting grass.
But we're going to Italy this summer, and I noticed that she was in Milan. I'm like, all right, that my daughter would love that. So
how did you get, just like secondary market, or how did you even still?
Just
that's a big deal over there too. You got to be careful with secondary market in Europe. They'll
but it was, it's through the mainstream Stub Hubs and Vivid Seats and all that, but just ridiculous price. But it's a stadium of 80,000 people. So and the tickets are. I'm sitting in the nose. I might be sitting in the parking lot. I think I'm not even sure. It might be outside.
I hope you're not sitting anywhere because are you going?
No, I'm sending my wife and my daughter. Yeah. My little man and I will be hanging out in Milan. Pizza and gelato.
So sticking with the theme.
Yeah.
This date, May 22nd, 1952. On this date, another connection of yours was born. He was on that bench alongside Jimmy for a little bit.
Rico?
Rich Preston?
The one and only Rich Preston.
Oh,
look at him.
Same birthdays?
Love it.
Same birthdays.
I had a good visit.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, get the phone, Retro. Get the phone.
We got to send him a note too. I had a good chat with Rico when he was in for Kippersting. He was at the luncheon, and he's awesome. I'm a big fan of Rico. He was great.
Does he have any energy for a 100-year-old?
Yeah, he really. So how old would he be? What's the math?
71.
71. Wow.
71.
He looks great too. He was always in great shape. And when I was on that coaching staff there, we'd play 3-on-3 and he'd just be chipping away, like just grinding you. He was awesome. I love Rico. He's
I guess Wikipedia is wrong. 71 would be 72. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Always there to correct me. Thanks, Ryan. Always count on you. And also we talk about Winnipeg Jets 2.0 and 1.0. There's even the pre-Winnipeg Jets. An Avco Cup champion is Rich Preston. The last year in the World Hockey Association, he was on that with Lars-Erik Sjoberg and all those that great team. And there was a story there, something about Tom McVie was their coach, and at the end they stripped his jacket off of him and tap danced on it with their skates still on and tore his suit coat all to shit. Still a good story. And so one last, we'll take a shot. The two birthday boys together on the bench. Good times had by all. There they are. Look at Rick taking notes.
There's Beetlejuice right there, number 20.
And Freeze.
Yes, love it.
Yeah. And Freezy. There's Damon Lankow, never with a smile on his face.
Marcus
ever.
Nielsen. I played with Lanks in the under-17s through junior, same draft year, played with him in Calgary, have spoken more with him in the last 5 years than I did prior to that.
Really?
Yeah, because Chrissy stayed in touch with his wife, and when we went to Scottsdale during COVID and hung out with them and wouldn't shut up.
Really?
Would not shut up. Sat there and drank a bunch of Corona, and he was like talking my ear off. I was like, what the?
Who's this guy?
What is going on here?
Yeah, he would score a hat trick, and Peter Hanlon would be waiting in the alley for him to do a media, and he'd be so mad that he was going to be the one being interviewed. Like, you just scored a hat trick, and he'd be so like, I love that guy. Him and Dion would fight like an old couple. They were awesome, but I'm surprised that he's very chatty. His kid is a pretty good player. Played for the Vancouver Giants.
Yeah, your buddy there, right?
Played for Mike Dick. Yeah. And Mike is now with the Toronto Marlies. So, but Dickers had said that he goes, Lanx's boy is a handful. He can fight and
oh, nice,
pretty tough kid.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Because I remember, we were way off it now, just covering junior when Lankow was playing in the Western League. I mean, what a player, right? I mean, this guy lit it up, and it was always, is he going to be able to do it the next level, right? Because he's a smaller guy, but is he going to be, and that was you had to be big. If you were big, you were going somewhere. And Darcy Tucker was kind of the same thing too. High scoring, smaller forwards. Obviously, Tucker did a little more on the feisty side, but Lankow right to the end. And we talked about this, that neck injury that he had. That was a scary thing at the end.
That was in Minnesota.
Yeah.
He got shot when he got cross-checked in front, and he went down and he got hit and broke his vertebrae or whatever.
Yeah.
That I remember that night because I was sitting up top. I was on the coaching staff, and it was me and Rob Cookson. And right away you could tell something was not right. That was very, very scary. Like, that should have ended his career. I don't think it did, though. I think
he came back and played in Phoenix.
Jeez.
Yeah, he had one more year after that.
Tough as nails. He was one of the pound for pound, one of the toughest guys.
Very tough.
Yeah. Very tough on and off the ice. Big UFC guy.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, because he and Dion, they were buddies until they weren't buddies, and then they'd be at each other, and then they were buddies again. Isn't that kind of how that went?
Like, I actually, when I talked to Dion still talks to Lanks quite a bit. They're very close, but they were just funny because Lanks was like a mentor to him, right? But Lanks wouldn't let Dion get away with anything. So, Dion get ahead of himself and Lanks would tune him up. It was pretty good. I love, he'd reel him in a little bit. So it was good. Yeah.
Not enough, as it turns out, or it seems at that time. Maybe it needed a few other guys to be on the Dion watch in Calgary. So Rico, happy birthday. And you know what? Rico, we saw him a year ago at that dinner, still as wiry as ever.
Oh yeah.
He's a tough SOB, that Rico.
Yeah. I've got lots of time for him. And, Jimmy Playfair, I sent him a note. He wrote me back. He goes, I'm going to have to listen now. So I said, all right, you got to listen. So lots of love for those guys. It's funny. We talk about hockey in such a small community. Everybody knows each other and everybody's got a story. Like, I hadn't seen Rico in a long time, and he showed up for the luncheon for Kipper's thing there. Had a great visit with him, and he couldn't stay, I think, for the Saturday, but he was there the Friday, right? And it's just nice. You don't see somebody for a while, but you feel like you just pick up right where you left off. So good stuff.
Safe to say he was the good cop to the Daryl bad cop?
Yeah, Rico never – the only time I ever saw Rico get upset, I think him and Dave Lowry and Iggy, and they all got into it over a power play setup or something, and it got heated. Like, Drome was a guy he pushed back, right? And same thing, and it was a pretty big argument. I think it was about our power play was struggling, and Rico wanted this setup. He wanted something, and Iggy was pushing back, and they got into a pretty good, FU type of thing. But neither one of them was given an inch. And I'll give Rico credit. Usually you back off when Iggy is pretty worked up, and he doubled down on it. And in the end, I think they executed what Rico wanted, which was good. You need your coach to push buttons.
Well, I'll fire one more this date, and I saw it this morning. Not a birthday, but an event, I suppose. It was May 22nd, 2004. Tampa Bay, Game 7 against the Philadelphia Flyers, beat them 2-1 to advance to the Cup final. Retro, and I mean, Noodles, we know that you were with the team, but had moved on.
Yeah.
If it's Philadelphia, Retro, and not Tampa Bay, Do you feel like the result is different?
I wanted Philly because Philly's goaltending wasn't as good, and
Classic
Philly was clearly good.
Yeah.
Primo was unbelievable that year in the playoffs, but I can still remember watching, and it's not. You can not to say we win against Philly, but my preference was to play the Philly team, and strictly based on the fact that the goaltending wasn't as good. I mean, Tampa had Habibulin, and he was freaking awesome. So
Who was Phillies? Was it Boucher or was it that Czech Manic?
it was
Robert.
Manic
There was Robert Esch.
Esch.
Oh, Esch.
Jeff Hackett, Sean. It was a handful.
And that's what I mean. The goaltending was a hole.
I know that Czech Manic just passed away recently, but I remember Iggy scoring a goal on him in the Saddle Dome. It was one of the worst goals I've ever seen. And believe me, I allowed a bunch of bad goals. And I remember thinking, that's a terrible goal. Iggy went to dump it in wide. Czech Manic, who didn't play the puck at all very well, went out to stop it and ended up dropping his stick by accident. And it hit his stick and went like around him into the net. Like, I think Iggy was on the bench when like the goal went in the net. And that guy, Czech Manic, I believe, was in modern day, one of the fastest goaltenders to ever get to 25 shutouts. It was under Hitch. And Philly was just so good defensively. But that Czech Manic, I remember like Philly's goaltending, it was always a problem. There was Hexy and then a bunch of goalies, and then Hexy went back there. And then, they had Sean Burke, and I feel like,
Taro Nitamaki and
they just
Robert
had
Esch,
a bunch of goalies that played there, but never kind of like Toronto. Toronto has had Eddie Belfour and Felix Potvin, and then there's just been a bunch of goalies that kind of play through.
Toskala was there for a bit, right?
I mean, Ray Croft gets traded. Like it's nonsense. Some of the organizations, and you bring it back to goaltending. Like now, maybe this is an outlier, but you look at it, if there's been something in the playoffs this season that I've focused on, is good goalies are the ones getting them through. Now, Edmonton might be the outlier.
Yeah, because 3 or 4.
But you could argue, but you look at 3 or 4 of them are rock stars. So
special teams too, right? That's the other thing we've seen a lot of.
Yeah.
Like Rangers, Stars, and Oilers have 3 of the top 4 power plays in the playoffs. Panthers are 8.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see. I would argue, we were talking about this yesterday, I would argue that probably Toronto, New Jersey, LA, those 3 stand out for me. Like they should all be in the, Colin Connie and saying
Carolina.
Carolina would be another
Detroit,
one. Ottawa, Detroit, you're right. Now, Allmark's going to be available. I think Saros potentially, Markstrom potentially. Like these are top tier names that you'd want to add into your mix. And, it'd be interesting to see if this happens at the draft or maybe this summer.
Why is Saros? What's
Askarov?
I know, but I mean, Saros is Askarov. I don't know if I was telling you guys this story maybe a week ago or a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about him. This kid seems like he's really special. I'm cursed. I've never watched him play good.
Really?
Every time I watch this guy, he's a disaster in the net. And I've watched him 5 or 6 times over the years, World Juniors and in Milwaukee. I ended up watching a game Milwaukee play, and he was terrible. But then you see the highlights, and this guy's dominating at the AHL level. I think he will push Saros out eventually, but Saros is careful what you wish for. He's a top goalie for me. Like the
challenge of Saros is like he's a UFA in a year, right? So he says, I'm top 6 in Vezina voting 4 years in a row. I deserve $8 million. Yeah. Now you start to see it a little more because you believe in Askarov. You drafted him in the first round. He's done everything he can do at the American League level. But you'd love to piggyback him for a few years. That's how Saros got his feet wet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Under Rene, but I would think, you got to do something with him because of the contract.
Exactly.
But I don't know. He's that good. I really think he's that
and that's
good.
why he's going to ask for a tough number.
But I mean, is it a tough number? Nashville was paying Ryan McDonough 6.5. You can't pay the goalie $8 million. Like I think the goalie is way more important than your number 3 defenseman, your number 2, I guess. What was McDonough, 2 behind Yossi? 3?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and I guess the question is, if you think Askarov's better in 3 years, this is tough. If Saros is your guy, there's no rush at all.
Aren't there a lot of teams, the Flames being one? The Sabres last year were ready to hand off to Devin Levi, and that didn't turn out. Like, there's still some learning curve stuff. Saros had to do it for years behind Rene. Like, I get that the contract and stuff might be burdensome, but boy, abandoning, you know what else is burdensome? Letting Saros walk and miss in the playoffs for the next couple of years till this kid's ready to.
Well, but this is where you go and you trade Saros for a damn good piece. Totally. Like, I know right now it's all a fire here in Toronto, right? If with McDonough's money being moved out, that links Marner to Nashville for Saros, because
wouldn't that be unreal? What a deal.
It would be a hell of a deal for both organizations, really, because Toronto would get a number 1 goalie if they can extend him and have somebody they would also have some cap flexibility too.
Totally.
So you could add another player in that mix. And Nashville's been dying for marquee people up front. I think that Evangelista kid's going to be a player. Forsberg is good. You got Ryan O'Reilly. You got some players there that sneakily are better than we think, but Marner's a marquee player that would really help them on a lot of different levels. So I'm not starting rumors. That's not my thing, but that was literally
it was everywhere.
That's been the narrative the last 24 hours, really.
There's only a few spots that Marner would fit in terms of the cap, and then what would they be moving out? That it makes sense in the sense that we hear Nashville is at least keeping their ears open on Saros, and that Toronto would want to move that. Yeah, they're okay, sure.
Yeah,
why not, right?
Well, you gotta do something. You got the coach in there now. That Berube's there. He's going to fill out his staff, but it's more about, I think it's figuring out what this team's going to look like moving forward. They might end up having to take a step back this year to get forward, within a couple of years, because Tavares' $11 million will come off the books in a year, unless they find something for him this year.
That's $23 million that suddenly appears in 14 months versus today. That's they could do whatever they want at that point. You can go chase Draisaitl or something.
Leon.
Well, you also too, what you do is you've got Brody's money's coming off the books, which is $5 million. You got they've got some flexibility, but you got Bertuzzi's $5 million, Domi's money, but you got to fill out the roster. So there is money to play with there, but you got to choose the right players and have the right mix, because the mix hasn't worked for them. And it's funny, everyone thinks that Draisaitl's leaving. Like I think I told people in Toronto yesterday, you should be cheering for the Edmonton Oilers to win, because I think if they win, all bets are off. But I still believe those two are going to stay in Edmonton until they do win.
We talked about it, and you could sell it either way. It's either look at what they've surrounded us with for a decade, and I could get better GMing elsewhere. And certainly when you put up the last 8 years, it's not been elite management. They're not good with the cap. They don't have any data department. They've never given them a real number 1 goalie. The D's been weak the whole time. But then the other side is, if you win, now you can leave. No one's gonna be mad at you. You could really spin it both ways. You think a win would get them out of there?
I think 97 would look at things differently if they won.
He filled his obligations.
Right. I don't think those guys are leaving until they win. And I don't think their team's far off from being they're pretty damn good team. Yeah. They added.
But okay. Sorry, I interrupted you there, but one of the issues I see, and you don't feel too bad for anyone making 8, 9, 10, 12, $14 million. But those two guys have taken, I won't say, they've taken less.
Yes.
To stay there, to have the GM spend it on shit.
In my opinion, a quarter. Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of money that those guys earned and deserve. And they said, I don't know if they deliberately said it, but they left money on the table so the team could maybe operate more, and the team has taken that money and shuffled it into.
Well, there's been wins there too. Zach Hyman could be the best contract in the league.
Yeah, but I mean,
Based on what though? I disagree. Anson Carter came on our show when I first started on the radio and told us how fucking good he was compared to the Sedins. Well, I'm sorry. Once Anson Carter was off the Sedins line, he was pretty average. So
yeah, okay. So Ryan Nugent Hopkins gets 100 points at $5.2 million. Like those guys, and you could just say, yeah, that's.
He's down 40 from that this year, but yeah.
But my point being is those guys, they're value contracts and they're good contracts.
Yeah.
Now, eventually there'll be bad contracts by the end of them. But when you're in McDavid and Draisaitl's wheelhouse, yeah, the Nurse contract, it's not great. But keep in mind,
goalies.
Guess whose best friend Nurse is? 97. And he signs that deal after Nurse played 60 minutes that night against Winnipeg in the playoffs. Like Darnell Nurse is, you can point to that and say, yeah, it's not a great contract, obviously. But Nurse isn't a $4 million defenseman. It's probably a $6 or $7 million defenseman.
Yeah.
So, like I think they've got, if you go through all of their contracts.
This is my problem with all of it, and I'm going to interrupt you again, is that I think, and I don't know how you draw the line, but I'm sure Iggy had some say, maybe. And I'm sure Gretzky had say, and I'm sure Mess had say, and I'm sure elite players on every team have always had say. Does it not feel like this kid might have a little too much say? Why is Connor Brown there making a bunch of money? Why does
his agent?
Why again? The coach might be really good, but at some point, it won't work. Because Connor's not a hockey genius. He's the best player ever. He's not a hockey genius.
I agree, but at some point, you're still trying to keep these guys happy, and that's McDavid. This could have gone sideways 20 different ways. At the start of you fire Woodcroft and you go, we're going to pluck a guy that was Connor's junior coach. Now that being said, Chris Knobloch had a good reputation as being a guy who was going to be a coach in the NHL at some point. So he had interviewed, he'd been on people's radar. And I'd talked to a few managers around the league going, yeah, that guy's really sharp. So they think, I don't know if you think outside the box or it's just Jeff Jackson. All of a sudden McDavid's, agent is in the mix too. So yes, obviously Paul Coffey comes from the stands. Like he comes from the press box. You're our new defensive coach. If they crashed and burned this year and just didn't make the playoffs or fizzled out in the first round, and there'd probably be massive carnage there. But
it could be.
I think if they lose this round, why would there be carnage?
Well, I just think Holland's gone,
but Holland's gone regardless. His deal's up.
Yeah, and so then July 1, Leon Draisaitl does or doesn't sign, and that's when the grip does or doesn't begin.
Or maybe he does the Pasternak and says, I'll play through. This is the one thing in Canada we focus on. You have to sign July 1st. Why? Sam Rienhart, playing on an expired contract, just got 57 goals. David Pasternak played through it. God, look at what the Toronto Maple Leafs just did. They went and overspent on William Nylander because Nylander had an unbelievable start to the season and was on pace for 126 points. He ended up with 97. Not that it's a bad year, but at the start of the season, everyone's talking, well, maybe it's a $9 million player because he got 40 goals, and that's what Timo Meier got. That's what other 40 goal scorers got. And all of a sudden, halfway through the season, you got to give him 11 and a half. Sometimes I'm of the other. If Draisaitl doesn't sign July 1st, so what?
I'm just saying that's when the sweat will begin in the fan.
Well, yeah, but I guess in the Canadian market, that's where people are talking about it. I don't know. I didn't hear much about it in Florida every day about Rienhart.
Because it's Florida.
Yeah, you're going to let
Edmonton.
Go.
Come on.
Rienhart he's going to get paid, but how much is he going to get paid? What would Sam Reinhart's contract be worth?
Where, if he's staying in a tax-free state or if he's going to market?
If he's just going to a market.
$12 million.
So you're that's an overpay for me.
I mean, the cap's what, 88 million next year? What percentage of the cap of that? That's in line with a lot of guys that get over 50 goals.
But he's only done it once. Like, that's the thing. This might be the Nazem Kadri deal, where it's like, hey, what did Kadri get? 82 points or whatever, and now he's back down to 60 or 55 or 60.
I mean, 12 million. 12 million. You're talking about him being the highest paid player in the league.
Yeah, so it
would be an overpay. To what extent?
It's not the highest paid player in the league. Come on, not even close. Like,
who's making more than 12 million?
What are you talking about?
Well,
McDavid makes 12 and a half.
Matthews.
What's Pasta making? Right around there. Like,
yeah, but we're talking about a handful of people.
Like what I'm saying is, if he literally just said top dollar, I'll go anywhere, I think he could flirt with 12. A place like Chicago is like, we got fucking $50 million. Go play with Connor Bedard.
Utah needs to spend real money this year. Like,
I'm not going to say it's a value deal, of course not, but we're saying top of market.
But that's all he was saying, is that it would be an overpay. He's not Austin Matthews or Connor McDavid.
Right.
So
he's got 150
worth 11.6.
He's got 150 goal season.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe it
depends on where you play too. So, for example, if Sam Rienhart goes and signs in what market were you talking about? Chicago. Does he get 50 again?
Playing with Bedard, I bet he does, or he gets close at least. Yeah, like he's a 40 to 55 goal guy.
I would say under 50, but you're right. They've got to spend the money, but it's just, I guess it comes back to, everyone's afraid that if Draisaitl doesn't sign first, he's not going to do it. I think there's more flexibility there than you think about, but it all depends on how this works out.
Yes.
If like right now, I saw the Sport Logic that they have the Oilers as a favorite over Dallas.
A lot of data models do. Yeah.
Yeah. 54%. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know that the two best players in that series play for Edmonton. That's what I know.
Yeah. The challenge is the two best players in every series the Oilers have been in for 5 years have been their two guys, and they haven't got a win beyond the second round, right? Like that's where we're at. This is two superstars against balance and depth.
Well, but now the Oilers have balance and depth too.
Do they?
Well, are you worried about Jamie?
How's their bottom six forwards? How's the CC Nurse pair? Where's their goaltending compared to Ottinger?
Well, Ottinger they're going to be worse no matter what. But I would argue that the top 12 forwards, if you lay them on top of each other, Edmonton's top 12 are better than Dallas's top 12, because Hintz isn't going to play, correct?
I don't know where Hintz is at.
I mean, it's.
I would lay the forwards on top of each other and say Edmonton's got just as good a depth, if not better.
Yeah, there's no question that the third and fourth lines are much better at Dallas. But of course, you got two of the best forwards in the world on one side, and a guy that played 50 riding shotgun with the best player in the world. Like, yeah, of course, they're going to look good there.
Okay, so your fourth line washes each other. Sam Steele and Craig Smith doesn't scare anybody, and just like Sam Carrick and Derek Ryan and all that. To me, they just wash each other. Now you're looking at top 9, like Tyler Seguin and Dadonov versus Marchment versus what? McLeod,
versus like a Fogel, Ryan, like and Cloud. Corey Perry, yeah,
Holloway. Yeah, Holloway, who's moved up, and then you go, and to me, Robertson, Ben, Johnston, Stankoven, Duchesne, Pavelski, I take the top 6 in Edmonton every day of the week.
No question, the top 6 in Edmonton.
So then, but where you beat, like the thing is it's funny. Evan Bouchard doesn't get enough love because everyone just thinks he's an offensive guy. I thought he played really well defensively.
It's a great pair, right?
He had a great series.
And Ekholm, CC and Nurse had to be broken up, and they got piled on. But I thought Nurse played really good in games 6 and 7. And then Desharnais is just being asked to do too much, if you ask me. But I don't think it's as big a mismatch as people are making it out to be.
There's some who have, and again, what do the media know? But I'm kind of surprised. There's some people, and they're given their check marks, who's got the edge, that feel that the Edmonton blue line, the Edmonton defense, is better than the Dallas defense, which strikes me as a bit odd with how much you hear about how much of a tire fire Nurse and CC are.
I wouldn't give them a check mark. I'd give Dallas's defense a check mark over Edmonton's, because Heiskanen is for me, he's the best defenseman in the series. And now you're gonna say that Bouchard, who's got 21 points, but Heiskanen is a 30-minute guy. Harley's had a good year. I don't know enough about him. That Lindell and Tanev pairing is really impressive. Suter and Petrovic. I mean, Petrovic was in the minors a week ago. So that's, that is, and Suter is Rhett's age. So, that's concerning, but
great conditioning.
Shrapnel.
Great conditioning. And I actually love Ryan Suter too.
Yeah, and Hakanpää's day to day. We don't know if he'll be back or not. That would be a lovely get to put Alec Petrovic back where he belongs.
And that Hakanpää is a mutant.
He's huge. Yeah.
That guy's a mutant.
No, I guess the way I feel about Noodles, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know that Edmonton would have beaten Vegas, and I don't know that Edmonton would have beaten Colorado. Dallas has proven those things, and I wouldn't have worried about Dallas against LA or Vancouver.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think Colorado, I mean, that Nichushkin, I would launch him to the moon as far as having him back on my team. That's 2 years in a row he's jammed them up in the playoffs.
Big time.
And he's a hell of a player, but he's got personal problems, and that needs to be sorted out. And you always feel bad for that. But Jack Johnson didn't feel bad in his comments. Basically said, I'm paraphrasing. He said, guy made his own decisions, made his own bed. I really thought that derailed Colorado. Like
they were brutal in game 4 after
they
that.
just didn't look right after that. And to me, Vegas had a weird year. Like yes, they win the cup and then they start like gangbusters, but then, you talk about goaltending, like they had to play Logan Thompson because Aiden Hill wasn't doing the job. Like eventually, you look in there and go, well, that's Aiden Hill. That's not, it's a Stanley Cup winner, but it's also not Ottinger, not Shesterkin, not, rock star goaltending Bob. So when I watch Vegas, and I watch them a lot, they didn't look like world beaters. They'd won the cup, but they didn't look like world beaters this year. And, eventually Dallas just leaned on them and they couldn't punch through. They had injuries. Their D didn't look great. Like something wasn't right. Maybe almost too much turnover, force feeding Hurdle in there. Like, hey, Stone doesn't play. Okay, he can jump on a moving train and scores the first goal of the playoffs. And everyone's like, okay, Mark Stone. But he wasn't as dominant as we saw Mark Stone, because you're like, hey, you gotta do this every night. And you haven't been conditioned to do that because you've been sitting out for 3 months. It just didn't look right for me for Vegas. I don't know how you guys felt, but going through Vegas and going through Colorado, yes, Dallas should be favored for me. But I look at Edmonton. I don't think it's a mismatch. I think it's a pick 'em for me. That's where I was going with that.
Who do you have coming out of these two series?
I chose the Rangers right at the start of the playoffs and I did it to be defiant because I hadn't seen. It's been, I can't remember the year, but Dallas, whoever's won the President's Trophy never wins. And I think it went back to, it's Detroit that did it, or Chicago. I can't remember, Chicago, I think it was 2012 or something. But so I thought the Rangers were going to make it through the whole way. I'm going to stick with that, even though I think Florida could beat the hell out of them. The Rangers.
That should be fun.
That's going to be a great series. I'm looking forward to it. But I had in my finals the Rangers and Colorado. Obviously, I'm wrong. So I don't know. It's a coin flip for me between Edmonton and Dallas. Like I feel like, oh man, I feel like Dallas has had the tougher pathway. Mm-hmm. But do I bet against the special teams of Edmonton? That's really where it is. And then you go, can Stuart Skinner hold up? Really, that's
goalie.
Yeah, he's got to. The other every series he plays, if he, even next series, if they make it through, he's going to be second as far as the best goalie in the series.
And it's not like Ottinger has a decade under his belt either, right?
Didn't have a good year. Ottinger didn't have a good year statistically, but he's been good in the playoffs.
Yeah, he had that monster year against Calgary 2 years ago. That was he was 970 or something insane, and he's been really good. I think in the second round against Colorado, given all their firepower. But the regular season numbers were nothing special at all.
They weren't. But what does it matter? It's matter what you do in the playoffs. And Ottinger's been really good. And Skinner's been, I thought he was shaky in game 6, but Vancouver didn't test him.
Yeah.
And I thought he was really solid in game 7. And it got hairy near the end. But Ryan McLeod just did his best to try and hand it back. Like, I don't know what the hell he was doing that night. Like, you take the double minor on the high sticking penalty, and then, McLeod is a guy who has, to me, a lot of ability. But man, he played some of those games like it was a November Tuesday game where no physicality, no digging in. He's good defensively away from the puck, but they need more from him. Like, that's where when you talk about depth, they haven't gotten it from Perry, healthy scratch, the pace looked overwhelming for him.
Yep.
McLeod and Fogle, who were guys who had really good regular seasons, they were non-existent in that series, and they needed against Dallas. And one thing they got was an opportunity to play because they're not at home right now. So we'll see what they respond to. And it'll be interesting to see, too, the young kids for Dallas. At Stankoven, Johnston, like now they're getting deeper into the playoffs, getting challenged a little bit. That Stankoven is, he's size of Peter Marr. He's like tiny little guy.
Stealing the puck from Mark Stone in round 1. Come on now.
I know, but Peter Marr, I love him to death. Tiny guy, right? Like that Stankoven's like 5'8" or something, right? Isn't it? 5'8", like a $150 type.
A lot of teams passed on him. Noodles. They might want him right now. I'll tell you that. That wasn't that long ago. He went in the second round.
Hell of a player.
Fuck.
But how about Jim Nill's drafting record?
Unbelievable.
And
you go back to Detroit and you're like, he was a big part of that.
Yeah, big part of that. But you look at it, these teams, I think it'll be a good series. Like, I think it might be higher scoring than we think. I don't think it's going to be the 2-1. I think we're going to see some goals.
If it's not, I like Edmonton.
There's been, and it's and we'll let you get out of here because we've been talking to you for.
Oh yeah, geez, I got to get going.
We were talking. We'll let you go.
No, let's finish it off.
You know what? I was just going to say, because you're a movie guy, Barry Trotz. He's going to with every time you show up, Askarov's the shits. He's going to start pulling your media credentials. You're like William H. Macy and the Cooler. We got to get you the hell out of here because you're just every time you show up, the tables go cold. Eventually,
I will be there for a dominant performance. I watched one online, but then it was the replay of when he got a shutout, and then I think he had a fight and he had to score a goal. Askarov. But what it was is he was this high profile goaltender coming out of the K, and I got to see him live at the World Juniors, and I was like, my God, this guy is so overactive in the net. He's just you might as well just skate out and chase the puck at the blue line. Instead of letting it come to him, he was just so overactive. Obviously, you get more experience. You use your size to your advantage, slow your game down. He's done that. But early on, I was like, man, this guy looks like he's got all the tools. He's just got to put it together. Obviously, he'll put it together.
At 21.
Yeah, young kid. He's going to be a good player. But I don't know if Nashville puts all their eggs right in that basket right now.
This is the perfect contract negotiation piece from Trotz. We realize that, right? That we're all talking about Saros being moved. He's like, I really like it here. What are we talking? Okay, maybe I will take a little less.
Well, and two, what about if you look at Wolf? Same thing in Calgary. His kids he's too good for the A, and he's got
size is the only difference. Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But he's more like Saros. That's what I mean, his size. But he needs to. He's got to play in the NHL, and Askarov has to play in the NHL. But, do they play with veteran guys in Saros and Markstrom, or do you move those guys out of the way and just let them play? That's the multi-million-dollar question for Trotz and for Connie.
Did I see you giggling on your radio show yesterday? Did you guys get the giggle? Was that yesterday?
Yeah. Like this, O-Dog's talking about a guy he golfs with named Mike Crapman. And...
For Crapper, wasn't it?
Well, but Mike Crapman, I golfed with this guy named Mike Crapman, and I was like, did he just say Crapman? And then we started giggling, and then we couldn't, and we're 10 years old because he used the word Crapman, and Hayes tried to spin out of it, and I was just like, there's no spinning out of it. We're laughing because the guy's name's Crapman.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
All I could think about was that Seinfeld episode where, remember the library police guy name was Bookman or whatever.
Yeah.
Joe Bookman or whatever.
Yeah.
anyways, we made asses of ourselves, and we're good at that.
Good stuff. Appreciate you, Noodles. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.
Guys, have a good one. We'll chat later.
Attaboy. There's Jamie McLennan. Little overtime with Jamie today. Always good stuff.
The guy in Saskatchewan that came on Letterman didn't he have a nice?
That was Dick Assman.
Dick Assman.
So,
yeah. Worked at the gas station in Regina, right in the #1 highway.
A regular on Letterman, and how couldn't he be?
Yeah, and then it was a big deal. People were stopping in. It was an issue. There was traffic problems. People wanted to come in and see Dick Assman. They had the signs up on the side of the road. Yeah. The Dick Assman. He's here. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. No, I saw their clip yesterday. And I mean, we've all been there when you're kind of tired and punchy and then something stupid happens and they just could not reel it in. It was just giggles across the board. And
what's the problem with that? Like, I think that's when the listener is like, yes.
I think so, yeah.
Get this back on the rails now, please. Like, I'm just trying to, like, who's actually upset when that happens? Everyone loves it.
Yeah, nobody. Nobody. That's who. So there you go. It was good talking to James. What do you think he spent on those tickets?
God. Well, what would okay, so if I wanted to go to Toronto to go see Swift, was it this summer or something like that? This fall? When is it?
November.
What would it cost? $5,000 a seat?
But here's the thing, did you get them when they went? Were you lucky enough to get them?
No, I mean like secondary market he's buying. So if you went today, what would they cost?
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. You're taking a look?
No, why not? I mean, like we thought concerts got expensive after COVID, and then Taylor Swift became the most popular artist in the world. And it was like, oh, no, never mind. Add a zero if you thought it was expensive before. $500 a seat. Geez. No.
Let me tell you about Wendy's. Frozen pucks are awesome. It's what you want. Back of the other guy's net. It's a good thing. That doesn't mean that you'd want to eat it. It's why Wendy's only ever uses fresh Canadian beef. It's never seen the inside of a freezer in all of their burgers. Whether you order the Baconator, Dave's Single, or even a JBC, you'll only ever find real fresh beef that's real juicy and loaded with fresh toppings. Download the Wendy's app to your phone, check out the latest deals, and order a burger that's only job is being delicious. Grab the Wendy's app and get in. Start collecting. It's going to be worth your while. It's going to be worth your while. Use the app with Wendy's.
Tickets aren't on sale. What the hell's going on here?
These actually look cheaper than what I would have. I'm actually looking at the concert in Milan.
Yeah.
And
what are we looking at?
Certainly not cheap. I mean, there's $10,000 tickets, but under $1,000 gets you in the door.
That's crazy, right? Well, that's $1,000 for a seat. You can almost rationalize $1,000.
I just know what my brother sold his for now. Significantly more. Now these are not ideal seats. So
yeah. Well, anyway,
jeez.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
That's right. Grab that one real quick. Didn't want to lose it yesterday. Should we do a Pinder Report?
Let's do it.
Pinder Report. Brought to you by Village Honda. The Civic continues to lead the way in value, reliability, performance. The 2024 Civic received a 10 out of 10 in car and driver's comprehensive vehicle testing. The Civic Type R, the Civic SI, #1 and #2 respectively in the sport compact category. If you like being inconvenienced and having to take your vehicle to the shop and then taking an Uber home and then getting rides to work and whatever, and then calling, is it ready yet? Oh, it's not another. Oh, you had to get another part, that sort of thing. You're not going to like the Civic. You're really not going to like the Civic. But if you're not really into spending money and sitting around a shop and you just want to keep driving it day after day, 365, Honda Civic, you'll be impressed. Village Honda, villagehonda.com. It's Pinder Report, brought to you by Village Honda.
Oh my God! Ryan Pinder.
I'll take any drop. It doesn't need to be the Ryan Pinder one. That's fine.
Well, it's got it.
Bad news from Prague, where Flames forward Marty Pospisil, as Jack says, toast. Shoulder-ish looking thing. Not ideal. And I feel like
a shoulder-ish thing.
Well, he got crunched pretty good on the wall, is what I believe I read yesterday.
GMs hate this tournament.
Yeah, unless they're the GMs that are like, oh, come play for Team Canada. It's a nightmare. And it means more to a country like Slovakia, be held in its neighboring country. That there's the tournament means more in Europe. We know that. You can actually see the games in prime time. That sucks. He was having a great tournament, and he only played a minute and a half yesterday. Left, didn't come back, tournament over. This is going to be a Marty Pospisil thing, and it has been, I think, stretching back to his USHL days. It's like suspensions, injuries, and if not those, you love them. But the others are plentiful, and he's not incredibly durable. And the way he goes about playing the game, you have to admire even more given the injury track record.
But to your point, Retro, that would not be a good update for Craig Conroy.
No.
On his mobile phone.
So how many months till camp?
So instead of working out and getting stronger and
Rehab.
lean, it's gonna be
in the pool. You missed a big moment in Flames history today. You went through about 8 birthdays and events. How about the guy kissing strangers in the stands, lifting the cup as the coach? Terry Crisp, hired in this day in 1987, Retro.
Sweet boy. One of the best.
Not boring.
Great guy.
Legend. Rhett's not saying anything.
What have we got in the back there? We got
Beast.
We got Beast, Big Al, and is that Barazan?
Don't know.
Tough to say. Absolutely.
Barry Barazan in the background there.
Guinness is wearing his helmet like it's a visor of a hat.
Odd they wear their team jersey for practice.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, this
team
is
photo day, maybe.
Jeez. How about that?
If it's team photo day, then Crispy should just chill the F out and stop yelling.
He's wound up.
Which one of you guys was hauled in by the cops at 4 a.m.? I got a call about that.
Well, and now see, because here's the other thing. The Beast has got on his white socks, I think.
It's practice.
We're wearing dark socks, and what are we doing?
Who's the equipment guy? How do you forget the practice jersey?
We assumed that they had practice jerseys. Was that the case?
I have no idea.
I think so.
This was such a mom and pop shop in the early
87,
80s.
88?
Like,
it's a long time ago.
Yeah, maybe.
You played in the Corral with how many thousand seats? This was not the same league. Although I guess Arizona played in something similar this year. Let's move. I got a little trivia for you because you guys love it. There's 4 teams left. On those 4 teams, we have 6 players who've won the Stanley Cup before. That's it. Holy
Low
Toledo.
number.
Jumping. So let's, I can give you some clues. There's a few that will make some sense. 2 on Florida, 2 on the Rangers, 1 on Dallas, 1 on Edmonton.
Barclay Goodrow.
Goodrow for the Rangers is 1. Absolutely. He was part of that third line with Coleman and Yanni Gourde for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Gourde. Man, I'm a quart low here.
So that's all right.
Because all I know is there's all the emphasis of the Pavelski and Suter, how many games they've played and have not won the cup.
Nope. It was a young guy jettisoned from a veteran team that has the cup in Dallas, and he's now an old guy in Dallas. He'd be top 2 or 3 in salary there.
Sagan?
That's correct. Bingo.
Right.
Boston.
There's one more in New York. Let's finish that up. He well-traveled all of a sudden, but a central figure in 2 Kings Cups.
Oh, quick. Back up.
Yeah.
Jeff Carter.
Oilers. We just talked about him. Healthy Scratchville.
Corey Perry.
Corey Perry. Yeah.
Corey Perry. Florida trade deadline.
Okposo?
From Ottawa.
Okposo.
It's not Kyle Okposo.
The Tank. Tarasenko won with the Blues in what, 2018, 2019?
Oh, sure he did. Yeah.
And the hardest one that I couldn't figure out, had to hunt this morning. Carter Verhaeghe played 8 games in the postseason in 2000. That would have been the bubble bolts before he bolted to the Panthers.
How about it?
Clutch. So that's Seguin, Tarasenko, Goodrow, Verhaeghe, Perry, Quick. New jewelry.
Yeah.
Someone's getting some.
And some of them will actually play.
Yep. That's Quick and Perry. Who knows?
Yeah.
The others, I like their chances.
Yeah.
Let's go to first action of round 3 tonight. What are we looking at? We're looking at Tkachuk. We're looking at Panarin. We are looking at 2 of the teams that in the East, boy, have they looked good at times. Boy, have they felt like teams that have all the right pieces. Boy, have they felt like maybe this is their year. I looked it up. Noodles referenced it. The 12-13 Blackhawks, the last President's Trophy team to win a cup. That's the weight the Rangers are carrying around. That's over a decade by my math. Meanwhile, Matthew Tkachuk and the Panthers had a miserable regular season last year, but didn't care. Got into the playoffs with less points than the Flames, barf, and went all the way to the final. They feel like a team that, well, they've learned some things along the way, and there's some dirt under the nails of the Panthers. This could, I think they want an alley fight, even if there is Rempe on the other side.
It's, again, we've caught ourselves. This is going to be a great series.
It should be awesome.
Should be a tremendous series.
100%.
It really should.
Yeah. So that's tonight. Looking forward to that. Should be a ton of fun. We had a trade in the NHL yesterday, fellas. I don't know if you saw this one or not.
Mm-hmm.
We referenced it. Ryan McDonagh back to Tampa. Now we say it. It's these markets with good weather, great atmosphere, no taxes. Players don't want to go there. Winning culture. I mean, get me out of here. He asked. What? Odd.
What's Tampa doing?
Still good. So I don't mind that for them.
2 more years at 6.75.
Was great this year.
He was great.
Yeah. Really good season for McDonagh.
I just don't, I guess still chasing it. I guess they're still chasing.
For sure they are, man. Yeah, absolutely they are. And like they'll sign Stamkos and they'll say we got to.
How much money do they get? Like at some point, there's got to be some sort of a financial crunch, isn't there?
So I talked to someone today that suggested that with Stamkos, they might just give him a 7-year deal and say, like, you're playing until you're 43 and you're going to be hurt for the last 3 years anyway. And we'll keep the AAV incredibly low. And I'm like, that actually makes a ton of sense. Cause like, yeah, like that's the move. You keep the AAV low. You stay competitive now. You don't lose one of your core
Are they
players.
competitive now?
Yes, they are. I believe they are. They had how many months without Vasilevsky this year?
They had him in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they lost a good team. I mean, I think they're a good team still. Yeah, I do. Are they as good as Florida? Not this year.
Well, you're not competitive if you're not as good as the teams you have to beat.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, does that mean that anyone that's not the Final Four just doesn't try next year because we're not better than
the
Dallas,
other teams
Florida
are going
Rangers?
back to the same well. Like Chicago's not getting Perry back to help them get. Anaheim's not going after Corey Perry because there's. You know my point. Like they're retooling with the same guys that they sure had success with, but that aren't having success anymore with.
I get it if he's a free agent and they bring him back for 1.5 or something, but he's got 2 years left at north of 6. It just, chase it, but it felt like, yeah, I don't know.
The issue that comes up is when you chase, right?
Yeah, if you don't think they can win and you don't think these guys are good anymore, then you should probably start tearing it down. I mean, they still have an MVP caliber forward, 2 guys that scored 40 plus, not named him, a Vezina candidate in net, and one of the game's best defensemen. I don't quit on this group yet.
I'm just looking at their blue line. I mean, they got
Sergachev back. That's
Sergachev,
right?
Hedman, Chernak.
Yeah, if they have Sergachev, they look different. He's quietly a very important piece there.
So depending, you're paying McDonagh 6.75 to be your 4. And, hey, what do I know? I don't have a cup ring.
It's worked there before with him. I don't know what he's got left. I have no idea, but he was good this year with Nashville. Whatever that's worth. We'll move. Jim Hiller's going to hang around. Oh, hang on. Yeah. So let's do this. Jim Hiller re-up by the LA. This was an interim plug the hole after Todd McLellan got run, probably because Pierre-Luc Dubois drove him nuts. Okay. Per Kevin Weeks, a big head of his breaking news.
What does that mean?
Multi-year. Well, you know how he breaks news. He has the video. And he
I see. Yeah.
It's cameras.
Actually, it was Rhett that said he's got a big head.
Big ego?
I've never said
physically large.
Are you talking about Weeksy?
Nope.
Big brain?
I said we were old teammates. Never.
Sorry to defend your old teammate.
Interim tag gone. Hey, so
multi-year per week
was a hot commodity. I feel like a lot
tough
of
to get coaches in LA.
I feel like a lot of these GMs are taking the convenient way out. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
It feels like more of a Travis Green hire than a Craig Berube, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Or a what's the other example? The
Sure does.
Bannister in St. Louis.
So if I interview coaches, like, do I have to be here to do it? Like, it's almost June. I've got that lake house. I got to get up there.
I gotta be ready for the draft, and I want some downtime.
Like, I got to.
More interesting to me, guys, is that Rob Blake clearly made this decision. So is the book closed? Like, if you're going to run Rob Blake, you don't let him do this, right?
Rob Blake's there. They'd have fired him.
And I think he should be, but there was talk all year about what if. Is this the vote of confidence for Rob Blake?
I think they're effing it up royally as far as and the fact that they came out and said that Dubois stuff, like we're not buying him out. I think that's a mistake. But again, these guys are closer to it.
Yeah, we're a long ways away, but both of those, it just kind of seems like, So are you better?
You're stuck with it, so you're just gonna carry on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would bring.
I'm not happy here, Dubois, that scores 28 goals and plays center physically.
Can I get Todd McLellan back? Because I feel I think I'd rather do that than Jim Miller. I'll do.
Yeah. Or how much of the formula is, Rob, you are spending on McLennan still, so we're not going to let you spend that again on somebody else who's not here. That happened here. Don't be surprised that it was
often
Ward and Gulletson that followed guys who had big contracts that were still on the books.
Yeah, I don't know what that environment there is fiscally for the
You get a
LA
budget?
Kings. Yeah.
Maybe you just have a budget and you're like, well, shit, until that one rolls off the books, we'll be over the budget.
Well, congrats, Jim. It feels like we're kind of shitting on you, but hey,
hey, we're jealous.
You got the vote of confidence from Rob Blake, who's widely respected. Good for you. Beat the Oilers in round one next year.
I was going to say, it's next year's your chance for the Oilers. I really feel it coming. The fourth time's the charm, they say.
That's what they say.
Before you signed, did you tell your GM to get a goaltender?
They have one. They signed Riddick.
A 1 year, $1 million.
Did you tell your GM to get a goaltender?
So they got the Cal Pickard slot covered. Their number 3 is good. You're still going to need 2 guys better than Riddick.
Dave. It's big save, Dave.
It was big Ontario rain, Dave, for most of the year until there was injuries. Oilers and Stars tomorrow. Boy, this is a rivalry from what? I would say the late 90s, early 00s. Dean, you would have been right around the thick of this in your
Todd Marchand,
Horkoff. Like this is some good stuff here. They met many, many times. And then I think this was this year. Jamie Ben's a dink. And Zach Heim's like, really? Are we going to do that? And he's like, yeah, we are. And guess what else we're doing? You puke. I heard your kids, your parents paid you for you to be on good teams, you jerk.
How much money do your parents have?
Yeah.
Give me some. Got a 20? The Stars and Oilers have played 6 times in the playoffs. The Stars winning the past 5. They met 6 times in a 7-year span from 97 to 03. So yeah, there's some history there.
You like that move from Ben, don't you, Rhett?
Well, Ben obviously he's not bounced around. He's only played in Dallas. He's a star. He's a captain. He doesn't give a shit about having friends on other teams. I was actually stunned at the start of this, and I forgot that this happened. I'm like, there you go. That's
like your pals. You can't be.
Oh
no, he's.
Oh, you're picking up your stick.
Oh,
you dropped your stick. What happened?
Oh, you're a chicken shit, are you?
Yeah.
How about
what happened? Oh, you dropped your stick again. Pick it up.
Your dad's personal security can't get on the ice. I got you now.
What do you got? Butter on your Butterfingers? Hold on to your fucking stick.
That was a good one. I don't know how we found that, but that's good.
It's gonna be a lot of rooting for Dallas coming up here. Big Dallas Stars fans gonna be surfacing.
It's hard. And you said it when the Canucks were up 3-2. Wouldn't it be better for the storylines, for the narrative, for this show if Edmonton moved on? And I really tried to fight you, but deep down inside, it's like, yes, of course the villain needs to move on.
I'm starting to get to where that can be. We can start to drift away from that.
Like how much smoke and rubble and like sirens are there if they get pumped here like they did Colorado 2 years ago in round 3? Are we okay with that? Can that be the ending?
I would.
I don't need to see this go much longer, Dean.
Yeah, I'm pretty good from here on in.
Okay, thank you.
What I don't like, and Noodles referenced it, and we talked about it yesterday. You brought up again is there's some models, there's some people out there that do like the Oilers here. There may be now, as you said, not sure about the opponents they faced. That's not their fault. They
Nope,
didn't,
they
they
can only
didn't
play
get to
who they play.
handpick LA and
Yeah.
whoever the fuck they played, Vancouver. But
You okay?
I'm pulling back a little bit on we need the black hat. You got to get him.
Black Hat's in the Final Four. Good for the Black Hat.
I feel. Sorry, go ahead, Red.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm concerned. I kept hearing that maybe there was a bit of a flu bug that had gone through the Oilers locker room as well. That you can make excuses, but maybe they're coming out of that and are going to start to feel better and start to play even better, which is not ideal in my world.
I would certainly think that it's a group down 3-2 in round 2 that found a way to come back and win. They're feeling good, and they've solved some problems in terms of like that CC Nurse pair was just absolutely atrocious the first half of that series, but they addressed it. And Skinner wasn't great. They addressed that. It's a scarier Oiler team than the one, safe to say, that was down 3-2 in this series and 2-1 in the series to Vancouver.
And on the Dallas side, and we can talk more about this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night.
Okay, good. Yeah, sorry, I thought you were going to finish the thought.
No, well,
last night, Canadian Championship, Cavalry FC in Vancouver to take on. It's not fair, Dean. They're an MLS team. They're flirting with $10 million on payroll. You think Cavalry's spending $10 million on players?
They make them do this.
Not even fair. How can you compete with someone with like 10 times the payroll? Not even fair. Whoa, Cavalry goal! Oh, Cavs!
Cavalry on the board through a mistake from Vancouver. Akio, the danger on the wing, puts in a threatening ball. It beats the keeper. It won't be Willie's, but they will not care. Cavalry are level in this tie. Vancouver, they have the edge on away goals. They'll always need a second, but the first step has been taken.
Okay, I'm going to show you all the rest of the goals. I can't. There are no more. Cavalry wins 1-0 at BC Place against the Whitecaps. And this is where we get into the screwy rules of this tournament, because the Whitecaps scored 2 away goals in Calgary and the Cavalry scored 1 away goal in Vancouver. No overtime, no kicks. Whitecaps move on.
Goddamn.
Goddamn indeed.
Okay.
There's
So they won, but they lost.
There's a lot.
Won that game. It was a 2-game
tied in
series.
the aggregate.
Tied 2-2 in aggregate.
Oh my God.
I feel like this is not the Cavs' fault or the Whitecaps' fault. This is a really, really stupid decision by soccer and whoever's in charge of this.
Yeah, the people that invented soccer millions of years ago, whatever it is, tens, thousands, hundreds.
Figure it out.
They have liked this rule for a long time, but it started to go away the last decade. Champions League doesn't do this anymore. Be better.
Have a shootout or extra time or
Be better.
Just be better. Clean it up.
Second time in their 6-year history that Cavalry has won a game against the Whitecaps in Vancouver, by the way. That's incredible stuff.
incredible.
Congrats to Tommy, who, by the way, was one of the finalists for the national men's coaching job, as they have Copa America coming up this summer and the World Cup in 2 summers. So Tommy getting some looks for the national team spot. It did not go to him. It went to Jesse Marsh, a prominent American coach that was been over in Europe for a long time. But Tommy's in the mix, fellas. That's good work, Cavs.
Right in the mix. Right in the mixer.
Other local sports. Let's go to a record-setting night at the Scotiabank Saddledome last night. 12,327 at the Saddledome with a surge. Goddamn.
Nice.
Goddamn is right.
That is goddamn. That was the good news. They had a symphony or an orchestra out there. They had this crazy music introducing all the players, red lights. It was chaotic. It was amazing. Great crowd. Kind of got pumped by the Stingers of Edmonton. It was not their best effort.
What?
Yeah, I know. And last year, defense was their calling card. They played the butter in the role of hot knife against butter last night.
Oh, you don't want to be the butter.
I think they lost by about 20.
What? No. What about the score thing at the end?
Yeah, target score 96 to I think 81. It was not.
Fuck.
I know. Good news though. Calgarian Matthew Kamba, the player of the game. Calgary boy.
Oh, but Calgary.
I'll give you player of the game and you got your ass handed to you.
Well, yeah, I don't know if each team gets to pick one or what.
Man of the match.
The Number 21 for the Stingers couldn't be stopped. That big bastard just soft hands and good feet for a big man. Brett, they had no answers for him defensively. Oh, and look at this. We were going to do an afterburner. There's Cammy, who does work on the sidelines for the Surge. Pike was there because Pike's Pike. And Mike Gold was on Twitter wishing he was there with us, tweeting at us obnoxiously. And there's boys. Look at that. Fellas.
Good fellas.
Yes. And honestly, if you got those pitties, indoors, outdoors, doesn't matter. You do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Put the vibe out.
Get them out.
Good time.
Good stuff.
To the nonsense. Let's go. Now, it's been raining a lot here, Rhett. Miserable weather. I think 6 degrees, gray skies, no sun, wet. But the good news for Dean, with his extensive surfing history, once being on the cover of Surf Magazine,
Right.
Look what he's able to do at Fish Creek Park here.
I just didn't account. It was the last thing that I thought would happen.
Yeah. It's tough because it just seemed like right in front of the jump, that's where the consistency changed.
Really dug in there.
Yeah,
Did you lean forward?
I'm telling you, that'll get you 9 times out of 10 retro. When it comes to surfing, you dip the tip, just the tip. You dip the tip, and you're fucked.
We got some hybrid sports I want to tell you about. So this is called ice boxing. This is in Russia. Stunner, I know.
Кто-то использует это время, пьет водичку и dышит всей грудью.
What are you seeing here?
Заключительный отрезок и чистый нокдаун. Или нокдаун. Смотрим. Марк Ковалевский, все, ничего себе. Что за турнир сегодня?
Yeah, ice fights. There you are.
You know my buddy Keith that fed Fido the hot dog? He actually did the first, like the pay-per-view ice fighting thing, and it was held in Prince George. It was
Ice
a
Gladiators or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He threw that, or he was part of it?
Mark Rader was part of it. My old D partner.
Yeah. Yeah. Former Saskatoon Blade. Who was? Oh shit! I'm trying to remember.
Who had that? Was that on?
Was it Odgers? Odgers? No, not Odgers.
Link Gates.
Link Gates. Fought once and then left. That was enough. But yeah, it was my buddy Beef.
Yeah.
Put it on, and it was in Prince George to a rowdy crowd.
Pretty sure there was something in Edmonton last spring as well.
I think it was. Yeah, it spawned this sort of thing. There's actually anyway.
Tennis, baseball?
Yep.
Tennis, baseball, the best new sport.
There.
Screwball. Let's go fastball. There we go. And we'll go slider for strike 3.
Get him, Adam. Got him. Strike 3. Oh, yeah, Rob. Take your time all day, baby. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go hit.
How fun does this look, Rat?
You know this is not even a joke. This is how I play baseball, but I use a bat. I can't throw, so I have a glove on this hand, and I just drop it in my bat hand and hit it to my kids.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I can't throw a ball anymore.
No, I can't throw a ball.
Our baseball head coach, this is how he warms up the fellas before games. I don't know if he can use a real bat, if he's not I hand coordinate, but tennis racket, yeah.
Tennis racket makes more sense.
Baseball.
Huh.
With a tennis ball, right?
Let me play with the real balls.
He's hitting a hard ball with a tennis racket?
Well, whatever ball they're using at 8 years of age, yeah.
Like the soft, squishy.
Dink. It's a little squishy. Next year, it's hard. I mean, they missed the birthday cutoff by 10 days. Okay, that's it for hybrid sports. Let's get to some,
thank God.
Animals. Let's get to the Down Under section of the program. Retro and Boomer. Judged by the language, this is an interesting part of Australia I've not been to, called Latin America. Oh, look, he's helping him out. You're free, buddy. Oh.
I'll just wait right here. Grab a paper and just scoot him out. Scoot him out the door.
Yeah.
And I'll be waiting.
Oh, bam.
Thanks, man.
Lunch.
Awesome. See you tomorrow.
We keep getting visuals from this honey job somewhere in Asia.
What kind of job?
Honey.
哎，
我操，有本事你来！
哎，有人。
That Honeyworth, what did you pay for that? Inflation?
Was it Mike Rowe or Dave Rowe?
Yeah, Dave Rowe.
Shitty
Dave
jobs.
Shitty Jobs with Dave Rowe. That's what it was. Great show.
Going fast and turning left.
Those fat cats at City Hall. Race
That
City.
is so inside. We all love amusement rides. I know the Stampede's coming soon, Dean. My young men are now of the age where they're at the right height to go on these things.
Oh, nice.
I always wonder where they go when the warranty runs out and they're not quite up to snuff for
The carnival
Stampede
rides, yeah,
and very
yeah.
safe places. Where do these amusement rides go to die? The answer is third world countries. Not ideal.
Yeah, I thought
It's the old
you
slingshot,
secured
but
it.
one of the elastic bands, no dice.
I would say it could have been worse.
Could have been worse.
Yeah, that pole could have been compromised, Rhett. In fact, I think it might still be compromised. I would shut that thing down. Solid for scrap.
The fair's open, or the amusement park's opening this weekend here, Darien Lake. Look out.
Can't
All
wait.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Are you a puker on the rides?
I don't do the rides.
Dean, do you do the rides?
I used to really like them, but I do find now I've become a bit of a hurler. Yeah, the old Tum Tum, it's not happy doing even like when we were at Disney, did the teacups. I'm like, I got to get off this bitch.
Ooh,
Come on, the teacups?
Teacups are
Yes.
bad. You're doing
Here.
ups and downs and rounds and rounds.
Yeah, we were there in November.
Equilibrium.
The California Adventure's got a few that'll get you. That Guardians of the Galaxy.
And see, that one I was okay. The Cars ride I thought was awesome, but
God, Cars is lame. Yeah.
it's when you're doing this shit, it's no bueno.
Now, is that centrifugal or centrifugal? What do we call
Yeah.
that force?
That's right.
Got it. Nails.
The old Gravitron.
Oh, yeah. Rhett quit on his pilot's license. I do believe he has his boater's license. And I didn't realize he now has, what class is it that you can drive a semi? Dean?
5A.
Yeah.
He's got 5A here. And, he's just trying to kill time, keep life busy. He only works 2 hours a day here. So let's see what else he's driving truck. Look what Rhett sees on the roads.
Oh my God.
That's train track, and that's a huge ass tanker that's
God. Oh my God. Oh shit. Oh my God.
And the train wins.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Rhett, you knew. I could tell by the 18 oh my gods you laid out. You were worried about this truck.
Yeah, train always wins, it seems like.
Train's the trump card. I'm just happy whatever was in that, it was empty. Because, yeah, if that's a petroleum product, Buffalo would not be on the map anymore.
Boy.
Now I
Stay
got
front
to
there, Rhett.
now I got to get a new rig.
Yeah, your Kenworth bit the dust there.
All right, it's time for Dean's decision. It is Dorn,
Don't
the
mess it
foodie
up,
dog,
Dean.
or the
Aw.
mystery box.
Dorn, don't you dare.
Okay,
pick
so
Dorn. Dorn's a
kind of
dork.
lay it out for me. What is Dorn?
Dorn is
Loser.
the black lab in Japan that eats meals and you get to listen to him eat. And
Okay.
then the mystery box is exactly that, Dean. We don't know what it's been. And yes, Shay was a little rough.
See, now I feel like I feel like I've been taking the mystery box
You've really been rolling hot on them despite.
and it's been the wrong choice every
It's been a
single
cluster.
time.
Yeah, that's right.
So, with
You're
that
selecting-
in mind,
Yeah.
I'll take the mystery box.
All right. Give him the mystery box. Here we go.
Oh, it's so cute. What
There it is,
happened to your
Dean.
ears?
That's your mystery box today.
Hey,
Thanks for playing. That's your Pinder Report.
There you go. So what, 1 in
That's
5?
surprising.
It is surprising. That's shocking.
I'm
to
still
dial back
waiting.
from
I feel
yesterday.
like there might be a snake somewhere that
Yeah.
comes out and that cat disappears.
It's a cute kitten. That's all it is.
Just lunch from some cobra out of nowhere. Village Honda. Huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, all makes, all models, all budgets, over 90 on site. But you know what the deal is? You go in there and you talk to the staff. Hey, here, would you like to come back to the office? Grab a coffee. We're going to go through the whole database. We have the dealership group, the Wood Automotive Group. We may not have what you're looking for here. Let's take some time. What's the budget? What kind of vehicle? Do you have any kind of idea, options that you'd like? What year are you looking for? They're going to walk you right through the entire process, the entire experience. It's going to be worth your while. They are the one-stop automotive destination in Calgary. Worth the trip. Village Honda, located in the Northwest Auto Mall. Oh, yeah.
Our boy, Anthony. Yeah. Very impressed with Dan Klomp, the Dutch defender for Cavalry last night. Monster game. Might not be with Cavalry long the way he's playing, friends.
Oh, is that right?
Whew. Top shelf. Best game of his career, they called it on the broadcast.
Really?
Sell him to MLS. Make some money. Let's go, Tommy.
Dan Klomp. I guess just a couple of things. I saw this come up online. Do you know because you go on planes and take trips, right?
Mm.
Like, I don't know what that is to leave the house and trip, go do things.
Right.
And if you're a golfer, you go on a golf trip. Like, you went to Pebble. Rhett, did you take your own clubs down to Pebble?
I did take my own clubs.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys, a lot of golfers like to do this.
Yeah, you take your clubs.
Right, you can rent.
No,
clubs,
God, you take your clubs.
But those are my clubs. That's a special bond.
It's a field game.
Yeah, between a
Pebble,
golfer.
they're going to charge you $1 million to rent clubs. Come on now.
Special bond. Just feel that wedge. I need that wedge. But things can go sideways as the East Tennessee State men's golf team found out on a Delta airline flight. They're a golf team, so they take their golf clubs.
That makes sense.
And as they are getting ready to, was it deplane? Is that how it is?
If they're getting off, yeah.
Yeah, one of the first things to come off, it looks like it's the golf clubs.
Bags made it. Perfect.
Yeah. Our clubs made it, guys. Feels like dude's having a day. All these golf clubs. Who the hell's on this? I mean, my guess is those aren't some Kirkland brand irons in those bags.
Yeah, they're probably
decent.
Real new.
Oh, that's a ping bag there.
Oh boy.
Could you send that into the airline?
I think they've drawn some attention.
Yeah, you put that on the socials. Oh, geez, we'd love to talk to you about this. Please slide into our DMs and stop spamming the universe with our guys throwing your shit. We'd love to chat.
We don't know what happened to dude. Maybe he got some bad. Maybe his wife is fooling around on him or something. Maybe he's had some bad news.
Maybe he is a rough sore spot, like some trauma tied to golf. He just doesn't.
Maybe
lost the ball.
Sad. T's and P's. We'll talk about. I know we could do it here. The Rangers and Florida Panthers get started tonight. Retro, you're a Florida Panther alum. Probably safe to say we know where your heart is. But who do you think takes this thing?
Oof, I'm having a hard time with this one, to be honest with you, because I got to pick right now.
Well, I know you like picking after game one, but it is tonight. We're going to make you do it before.
Because I picked the Rangers last series after game one. They were up one. Can I wait?
Do you want me to ask Ryan and then come back?
No, wait. No, after the game. Text me.
Oh. Dean, why don't you tell him who wins tonight, and then he can make his pick.
I'm good at best of 6.
Is that how it is? Just give me that one game head start. Now so if you'd have taken Dallas or Vegas in round one,
I'll go Bobber and the Panthers. Fine. Why pressure me? You know I'm picking the Panthers. I'm a Pantero. Chicks dig the Panteros.
He's a Florida
on the road.
They're on the road.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at Shesterkin and Bobber. This is a
marquee matchup here.
This is the lights of Broadway.
Woo!
Tidy numbers. Another thing I read, where was it here? Because of course the Panthers, right? They're into round 3 last year. They went to round 4. It's been a lot of games. Old Bobber has played more games. Where is it here? He's played 20. He's got 24 playoff wins since 2022, with a 2.59 and a 919 save percentage. He has been a clutch playoff performer. So in the regular season,
Well,
but
I mean,
he really cares in the playoffs.
the last two, this year and last year, he's been great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they got the last appearance before that, they got swept by the Bolts. But yeah, like he's been nails, and they've eased up in his workload. A lot of Alex Lyon there this year, if I'm correct, to allow Bob to do this. It might have been the secret sauce for Bob because he struggled the first half of that free agent contract there.
Well, you start cutting off the vodka around February, March. You start kind of weaning yourself off.
Okay.
By the time April hits, you're right
Ready
there.
to roll.
Bobber has allowed 2 goals or fewer in 8 of 11, including 5 in a row and 6 of 7. You allow 2 or fewer, you're giving your team a hell of a chance to win.
Sure, are, Dean.
You're almost
Sure
you know what? You're almost daring them.
Just get 3, fellas.
Fellas, can you get 3? Because I bet you I can allow 2 or fewer.
And I'd say you could get 3, but not always on Shesterkin.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a hell of a matchup.
He faced the Shesterkin now in the Carolina series, an average of 37 shots a night.
Ooh.
Still put up a 2.8 and a 919 save percentage.
Yeah, the old Carolina shot volume thing didn't get him.
And remember at the start of the year, what's going on with Igor? Igor's not as good as he. What happened? Because you remember that,
Jonathan
right?
Quick, they're losing him a lot. What's going on here?
Yeah. The date is February 9th. From February 9th on in the regular season, 17-5-1 with a 2.20 goals against, 930 save percentage, 4 shutouts.
And that's basically the All-Star break. I think All-Star break was like
February. And then the rest of the season, once you've sobered up, you have a hell of a good time.
It's that All-Star break. Get him back, and he's good.
Yeah.
Just be ready by Feb 9.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
Do I have to pick right now?
You can't do it tomorrow, as I told Rhett. It would be not fair for him to be able to pick tomorrow or you with the rest of us pick today. Do you want me to ask Jack first?
They've got, Kachuk is a former Flame. Lomberg, former Flame.
What kind of hockey analyst are you if this is
Rangers
you're
have
just a fan?
Calgarian Matt Rempe. In fact, take a look at this here. Really? If you don't already like Matt Rempe of the Rangers, this was his quote to Mike Morreale. Now it's Panthers. Matt Rempe on Matt Kachuk. Plays with a lot of grit and edge, gets under your skin. Just mean. I can't say enough good things about him. I was a Calgary kid, and he played for Calgary, so it was a lot of fun watching him. When he left, it broke my heart a little bit.
Oh, Matty, I'm sorry.
Poor fellow.
Matt Rempe, 6'7", 6'8", but tender on the inside.
Broken heart.
Yeah, broken-hearted. Who did you take, Ray? You took the Panteros, eh?
He always was going to take the Panthers.
I have to.
Yeah, I need to. Jack, what are you doing?
I can't take the Rangers.
Come on now, fellas.
Panthers.
I like the Panthers too.
Really?
I think that makes your answer real easy, Dean.
Tell me why, Ryan.
Well, I certainly all year when you look at the way Florida plays and the type of character they have, you're like, that's built for playoffs. That's built for playoffs. That's built for playoffs. The Rangers just feel like a team that's very good and hot right now. And maybe they're the team of destiny, but like there's just a lot of pricks on that Florida team. And yeah, like I really like Florida here. I think the whole last year all the way to the final, unfinished business, stage isn't too bright. I like the Panteros here.
I feel like I need to go the other way just to have.
You should just to pick up the points. Yes.
Who did Jack?
Panthers so far.
He can't take the Rangers. He said that's his.
Jackson idiots.
Jeez.
Well, I agreed with you, so.
Goddamn!
I'll take the New York Rangers.
Okay, then I have to take the Panthers for sure.
You've already made your pick, yeah.
Yeah, you already picked.
Yeah, but if all three of you picked Panthers, there's no way.
No, you were going to try to pick both teams. I've seen this before.
But Boom's in the lead, so I have to go opposite. It was my thought process.
I see.
Well, you're good.
He can't lose if he just copycats us, so he should have to pick first.
And I'm not that guy.
Oh, you got
It's
to
not
pay.
about
Look,
winning. It's about having a fair and even competition, men. I am worried a little bit about what happened with the Rangers near the end of that series against the Hurricanes. They didn't look real great.
first real adversity, right? They'd won 7 in a row.
Looked a little disoriented. Probably lucky that Shesterkin was real good. And Florida is really good, and didn't make. I mean, they
So are
made
the
Tampa.
Rangers.
They made Tampa look like a run-of-the-mill club, and
They did.
kind of didn't break much of a sweat against Boston. So yeah, it feels like this is a Florida pick, but I'll take the Rangers
What?
for the drama, because I know everybody that tunes in and listens and watches, they don't want to see us singing in harmony like a bunch of choir boys.
Not in
They need
this
some of
show.
this. Hey, they need some of this on Barn Burner. So that's what I'll do, I guess. Fuck, Bobrovsky, 2 or less than 11. Jesus, good luck. Oh yeah, I want to tell you about
Are we gonna do Dallas Empty tomorrow? Or you want to do it today? Because
We'll do a Dallas M tomorrow.
yeah, sounds good.
We got a show tomorrow. We're gonna do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You all right with that? You like it?
Sure.
Cool with that?
I got a Betway for
Cal
us, so yeah. I'm
Tire is the place for me. Cal Tire is the place to see. Whether you're an owner operator, you have a small fleet of trucks, Cal Pro Plus is the dedicated tire program just for you. It's a free program, gives you access to exclusive deals and savings. Do you like deals? Do you like savings?
Yep.
Again, if not, I don't know. Price match guarantee, flexible financing options, preferred pricing on everything you drive, including your own family's vehicles. Dedicated member support on hand to answer your questions, recommend and source the best tires for your application, for your budget. Free. I'm telling you, that's the kicker here. 260 plus stores, Cal Tire, there to help you with your tire program so you can just focus on the job and the road ahead. You can sign up today for free. calproplus.com, calproplus.com. Hi there, it's Bill McGillicuddy. I was just wondering, is there any chance you could recommend the best tread and compound for the conditions that I'm in? Absolutely, Bill. Yeah. Just wondering, any chance you can share the best pricing so I don't have to go shopping around wasting my time? Is there any chance you could do that? Yeah, that's why we're here. It's Calpro Plus, calproplus.com. Can you check and monitor your inventory so stores around getting it on time? I don't want to waste time. I'm very busy. Yeah, Bill, that's what the program. It's Cal Pro Plus. Any chance you can get a quote? Put fire off a quote just so I can have it online. That's just a file that I can kind of show that the boss is upstairs just so they know. Goddamn, Bill. Yeah, that's what the program's about. It's a free program, calproplus.com. Just sign up, stupid.
Oh, jeez.
Any chance I could get one free? Yeah, you're going to get one free flat tire repair per year. They're not going to talk to you like that. That's not what's going to happen at CalPro Plus. Cal Tire. We treat you right.
That's what they say.
I think that's Dairy Queen, but nonetheless. Rainy in Calgary.
Gross.
Rainy, Rat.
Surf Life magazine.
I raised my eyebrows as you were speaking because this just came across my
you got a T-storm warning.
severe thunderstorm warning.
Severe.
Now that's for Buffalo or Calgary. Get us up to speed here.
Buffalo.
New
Talking
York.
about it.
Really? Well, T's and P's to you, sir.
Oh,
You
it's
and the
gonna be
shoveler
good.
better
It
just
means I
kind
can
of
stay inside and snuggle.
hunker down in the old bomb shelter that I know you've got with some batteries and bottled water and some food rations
lots of
downstairs
cans,
because the world's destined to end at any moment.
Who doesn't leave the house?
Do you have a? I've got 1,000 candles. I've got some oxygen tanks. What did you buy when COVID started? Didn't you buy some oxygen tanks and some hazmat suits and stuff? Didn't you?
No, I was going to buy the breathing thing.
Yeah, the
machine.
ventilator or whatever. Yeah.
Let's get a vent.
But instead, you flew to Florida and ate key lime pie.
Bathed right in it.
Potato. To each their own. Yeah. Belly bets.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Not happy with the Oiler fans are really feeling it, eh?
This is the problem with that damn organization.
Yeah, they're really
friggin' lottery
feeling it.
balls, and they're walking around like they invented this thing.
This whole, do you know how many Canadians are playing on this? How they're like,
The hell was Frank? Was Frank in a mood on my?
I think he was. He was traveled out. He said 26 out of 30 days he's been on the road. We're going to grant Frank one of those.
Okay.
Then we'll be better next week.
because see, on one hand, if it were being, you know, a heel, I get that. When you host a
That's
show or
what I
whatever,
mean.
if there's something I know that's going to twist Pinder the wrong way or get just because I know the reaction I'm going to get, then I'll kind of, hey, what do you think? Is there any chance that you might cheer for the Oilers? Like, it's on the surface ridiculous, but I don't think he was trying to. I think he was sincere. Where are people going to cheer in Calgary? Do you think they'll cheer for the Oilers? Because look at all the Canadians they have.
And he didn't like Pennsylvania. He didn't like the Pennsylvania analogy. Like, how is that any different?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, did Flyers fans don't cheer for the Penguins? Penguins fans don't cheer for the Flyers. Why would we do this here?
Frank.
Come on, Frank.
You better not.
Frank.
Get some rest, Frank.
What the age, Frank?
Good
Get
job,
home,
Frank.
Frank. Get a roast pork in you.
Figure it out with a red hot and
Long
some,
hot.
Yeah, long hot, right? With the
Broccoli rub.
broccoli rob. Look at you.
I'm excited. It's good
I know
food.
you are. With Betway, you can get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. It's a great setup. You create a new account, scan the QR code on the screen, redeem your bonus, place a bet. If it happens to lose, no minimum amount required. You'll get a refund of up to $200. You can then use that money to bet on your favorite sports. The offer only available outside of Ontario. Here's where we're going. Panthers. Regulation win.
Oh,
You just chose.
I'm aware of that bet. But I didn't know who I was going to pick when I submitted my bets of the day.
best of 7, Red. No one's seeing a sweep.
To
here.
win
Come
in 5, you got to lose at least a game, Rhett. Well, to win in 5, you got to lose exactly one game, Rhett. If you lose 2, you can't win in 5. And if you lose none, you're not. Why is it so hard for you, Rhett? Keep up. Reg win. Panteros, plus 145. And Matthew Tkachuk scored in game 1 of the Tampa series, scored in game 1 of the Boston series. He'll score in game 1 of this series as well. That's my bet. 155 on the plus side for an any-timer from Machu.
I'm also in an awkward spot because I picked the Panthers, but I've got the Rangers money line and the over as they're at home. And I like Chris Kreider to stay hot. He had a hat trick in the elimination game against the Carolinas.
Did Jack mess up our bets? Did he?
Do you want to take mine? I'll take yours.
I'm not sure. You don't need to take our bets. You can do whatever you want.
This is true.
Get the Betway app on your phone, your tablet, however you do it, but get on Betway and join the action. And if you haven't signed up yet, the new account and the QR code on the screen gets you that free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. If it loses, you'll get that back in the way of credits, and then you can use that on your favorite sports betting once again, but only if you're outside of the province of Ontario. Because we hate Ontario. Apparently. Did we talk at all about Craig Berube getting the Leaf job?
Not really. Did it? Because Friday it wouldn't have broken yet, and then it's a long
I don't even
weekend.
know when the hell
They
it-
announced on
yeah.
Monday.
Because I don't think we
I
did
told
talk
you he was
about it.
going there, though, so it kind of.
It does feel like it was the move they were going to make.
Why hasn't Craig Berube
I
landed
feel like
somewhere?
he's not going to Winnipeg take.
There was
straight.
that. Yeah. There was that.
0%.
0% indeed.
We'll never know that the
Okay.
probabilities, the other
Hey.
outcomes are, but you were right.
Now, maybe down the road, or do you just
Oh.
say lifetime
Oh,
of Craig Berube, never a Jets head coach?
I'm going to say never a Jets head coach.
Right
I heard
down.
even when
Jack?
Toronto goes there, he's going to stay at home and let the assistants run the bench. He hates Winnipeg that much.
Yeah. So, do you like it? I think we all like Berube as a coach. We have our questions about the Leafs. So now Treliving's got to shape the roster a bit.
Yeah, I think this
And-
is a small piece of a lot of change this summer. I think Marner gets moved.
Because we saw Brad kind of tailor a roster to Daryl.
Yep. His last
Well, you
year.
have to tailor to a certain extent. You got to have
Good.
players
Branson
that can
came
play
in.
the
That was a Daryl
style.
guy.
He also got to, pick a coach that he thinks will help the group that he does have. So, yeah, there's a bit of both there.
Yeah.
Berube's not, you're like, okay, I'm going to out X's and O's you. It's like, I'm going to extract max value from my guys. It's kind of the rep. Like, it's, if you have more to give, I'm going to get that out of you.
It's another guy. I played hard.
Yeah.
And I expect you guys to play to a certain level.
Totally.
Crazy coaches. Now, the other question is, I think we all like Craig Berube.
Yeah.
Do we hope it works? Do you wish for good things to come?
I
to Craig
would
Berube?
rather see Toronto and the fans in Toronto have success than the cultural capital of Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's not close.
No, you frame it that way. It's an easy decision.
Right? So I don't know that it slides. I like Berube. I think a couple of years ago when Gio first get there, I was kind of almost hoping for the Leafs. I don't know if Gio's going to be around. I like Treliving. I think Leafs fans are, well, most teams that have true fans have good fans. So I would be okay. And it's a bit of a Yankees thing. Having the Leafs in there is going to cause excitement one way or the other.
Yeah, I would say like define success. Like, I don't know that you ever want to see them win the cup, but boy, if they got close and got through the second round,
you never really
believe they would win, only to have their beating hearts ripped out and shown to them in front of their faces. Like that's kind of where you want to go with this.
Again, they could win. I'd rather have them win before the other guys.
And I also just sort of feel for guys just like, well, those guys just aren't winners. You can't win with those guys.
There's something about Austin Matthews. I don't know why. It's not like he's had a tough ride. But I feel like it would be cool, much like with Ovi. It's like, you know what? Stick it to all these guys that say you can't do it. How many goddamn goals? Like, what else? How much do you have to do?
Yeah.
You scored 70 freaking goals. It does feel like Marner wears a lot of it, though.
Yeah, and then he's the guy it's all in his backyard for all his family members to manage. Like, he needs a change of scenery.
Lightning.
Ooh, I hear there's a T-storm coming. Now, prior to Keefe, I'm trying to go backwards because we had Randy Carlyle,
Babs,
then Babs, or
Is
Babs.
there someone between Babs and Keefe?
However that worked.
Wilson.
I think so.
Ronnie
I think it was Babs to Keefe.
Is that what it was, eh?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Keefe was coaching the Marlies. Keefe started like junior A in Ontario. Like that's a guy that literally coached his way right up to the top. That's not a, hey, come, you wore jerseys in this league, come coach for us. Like he literally started so way up. Good teams in Toronto. I think they won an AHL championship with him. I think.
Did you look like you nodded like you were going to make a point there?
No, I'm looking out.
He's worried about the rain. He's like, we got to end the show so I can go clean the eaves.
Well, you know what? If is Razor still outside on his lawnmower, like, get him inside.
This morning, he had the weed whacker out.
Get him inside now.
Get him in.
Might fail.
Although if there's a guy that could survive a lightning strike, I feel like it would be Rob Ray.
You'll be just fine.
Right to the top of the dome, crack.
Yeah, like taking the puck in the head this
Did you guys hear that?
What?
Jeez.
All right. That'll do it. See you, buddies.
Yeah.